is flying. We got new internet, so far so good with upload and download speeds.
Nice.
That's always, it's always a scary thing when you do what I do and you get new internet, because it's like if it doesn't work, then it's a very painful experience.
Oh yeah.
We are dropping the Kickstarter link in chat. Before we start, everyone joining us, be sure to check out Kickstarter for Our Monsters Volume 1 and 2. If you're able to back, we would love to see that happen during this spooky month. But simply putting us on Facebook, Twitter, word of mouth is 100% free, and it costs you absolutely nothing.
Yep.
All right. Looks like everything is good. I'm going to get a little sip of coffee. Yeah, man. I'm like 36, and it must be like my old age. Like, I was laying down the kids, getting ready to lay down my daughter. I'm like, I need to take a shower. I'm feeling a little drowsy. Like,
yeah,
like this cup of coffee like might do me in, but I need to kind of like splash some cold water on my face a little bit.
It doesn't do it like it used to. I'm 36 too, and it just doesn't do it like it used to. And right now I'm doing it like a fast. I'm doing the carnivore diet and a fast. I put on a couple pounds, and so trying to cut that back, dude. Being right in the front of a fast, I'm so I'm exhausted. And so I was even telling my wife, I was like, Lord willing, I'm cognitive of anything I say tonight. I was like, because I don't know if I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I gained a few pounds. We just recently had a baby, and something about having babies.
Congrats
man.
On that.
Thank you. You just pack them on, and I think I did like a good like 36-hour fast before. I was like, all right, I need like a little snack. Like,
yeah.
But I've been reading a lot of research. Like a lot of your like bad cells get eaten up during that time period. So
fasting's good.
Yeah. It's
some people recommend like a 24-hour fast once a week, and so I try and do that. Basically, I just fast either Sunday or Monday.
Which it's crazy to think about, right? Like I've recently just started like looking into this. Like I would never not like feed my kids for a day. It's insane to think of going a whole day without food, but it's like a fast like for yourself. It's like just a regular day for me. But
you can do it, yeah. And then every once in a while though, like my kids will be hungry, and I was like, you don't even know what hunger is.
Yeah, you don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It definitely shows what type of beast you are, though. Being able to handle the hunger and the pains, like.
Yeah. Furthest I've done, I think, is 58 hours. I haven't done past that. I want to do a 72-hour water fast sometime, but it sucks. Supposedly everything it's great after 72 hours. Like, well, it's freaking getting there.
Yeah.
Get that.
So I am good to go as long as you are good.
I'm born ready. Let's do it.
All right. Let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic episode of Keeping It Geekly. We're here live with another awesome indie comic creator interview with our good friend Chris O'Hara, here to break down Our Monsters Volume 1 and 2, unsettling single-page horror stories. I had the chance to read Volume 1, and I want to say we had you on the show before, right, for Our Monsters Volume 1.
I wasn't sure if it was for Volume 1 or not, but I think it might have been. Yeah.
And I don't think I'm not quite sure if the book was fully finished when we interviewed, but having read it, I will say it is interesting. I was really captivated by the single page aspect of it, as well as the absence of words. There's nothing minus like it's like a webcomic-esque type feeling. While you're going through the pages, you see the hair, the monster within the hair, kind of giving you the titles. But that is it. And it is a completely type of reading experience. Chris, welcome to the show. How you been, man?
Thank you. Been well, been busy, just hanging in here. I appreciate you having me on, Cody, again.
So I was trying to think while I was reading this, the type of feelings that it really invoked within me, and it really took me back to the scary stories you tell your kid, like the books. And I don't know if it was maybe just around like a Midwest Ohio type thing, but there's these horror books as a kid, and I remember the artwork in them just being terrifying. It's like scary stories you tell yourself at night. I don't know. It was like some generic title, but the stories were insane. It was mostly prose with, just these insane striking images. And when I seen the monsters for volume 1, it kind of really gave me that same eerie feeling. Like it would be such a normal panel, and then the next panel is like some insanely grotesque monster done in like a totally different art style, which I thought was also equally as cool because there's only one artist involved, correct?
Yeah.
So you'd have these I like to say simplified panels would be an injustice because they're detailed and the art is awesome, but it's like this different simplistic art style, and then it's like you have this grotesque. It's like the SpongeBob episodes, where this is super HD, insanely detailed, just monsters staring at you. And man, I really love that. What goes into creating something without words? What's the script process look like for that?
It's weird. It's a little challenging. I've made the joke. I have a hard time calling myself the writer of this book when there's no words. It feels disingenuous, but that said, there's a weird art form to writing a single page horror story with no words. The amount of times that I really wanted to put some form of, inner dialogue between a character or them seeing in a shadow or something like that, but you just don't, because that's not the point of the book. So you can't really lean on those tools. It's tricky, but it's a lot of fun. And honestly, the main reason, so you read issue 1 and you kind of said it's a little unique and different than other books. That was mainly because I discovered Luna, the artist, and she had a handful of these really creepy single page stories, but they were just on her Instagram. And it's really her art style that gives them this oddly endearing vibe while also ending on a unsettling note with whatever it may be. And I just loved them. So I reached out to her immediately and asked, if she'd be interested in compiling them. She didn't have a ton. So then we started creating, our own based on her, starting place of having 5 or 6, I think, or at the time. So it was really cool working with her to create these. A lot of them are hers, just things that she comes up with. A decent amount of them are mine, where I actually have to sit down. And that's something else I've mentioned previously on other things, where the interesting thing about writing this is I'm constantly having to think of something creepy, especially when I'm writing this book and I'm leading up to the month of writing this book and making sure all the artwork's done. My writing process for this specific book is laying in bed at 2 a.m. or something. I just got all my work done or whatever I'm doing. And then I'm just imagining just the creepiest stuff happening. Just imagining the door vaguely opening slowly and then a shadow being cast. And then all I hear is footsteps, maybe doll footsteps. That'd be creepy. Okay, what would that look like? All right. And then I look to my right and there's a monster, and then I'm just okay, good night, me. It's why the heck am I doing this to myself? That's, and it's in the shower. It's late at night. It's whatever. And that's how I'm coming up with the stories. So I'm always really relieved once the book's done.
And I mean, there are a decent amount of single page stories too. I want to say roughly about 20
around there. Yeah. And we try and with issue 1, I believe so. And then issue 2, I'm not actually sure. That's the one thing, is I put 30 plus pages, which includes some of the titles, it includes some of the in-between pages, which if you read volume 1, you'll be kind of familiar with that way of me weaving in a story in between all these disconnected and disjointed single page stories. But at the same time, the reason why I put 30 plus is just because I think as we're going through the campaign, I'm coming up with more. And I don't save them for the next one. I just go, as long as we can fit them in by the time the campaign ends, let's make a couple more pages. So I think we have 2 more pages we're working on right now.
So how do you, I know you said some of these pages were already kind of pre-existing for the stories that you had a hand in kind of, scripting out. how did you guys come up with the designs for the monsters? Like, what was some of the inspirations?
I I think Luna has, I don't know, she has a twisted imagination, and I tend to, if you've heard me talk before, I tend to give my artists just the most creative liberty as possible. That's just what I do, unless I have a very specific like image for this thing, which the main monster for volume two, I did. So I had a direct hand in making sure it was exactly what I was wanting and picturing.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of the pages, sometimes it'll just be, I'm writing the panel, I'm writing the character descriptions, I'm writing the view and everything like that, and then I just put like variants, like the face is missing kind of deal, or like something vague enough to where it allows her to understand what's supposed to be the creepy part of the page, and then she just does it. So it's great that way.
With the first volume, we had it was like this creepy girl, long-haired monstrosity. I don't know.
Yeah,
it could be anything. It was insane. How did you guys plan the volume around this creature? I know there were some stories with different monsters, but there was a decent amount featuring this creature. I mean, I guess, like, how did you decide on how much airtime to give this creature compared to the other ones?
so that was probably a selfish decision. That was so on page 2 of volume 1. I believe that's the page, or at least story 2. You'll see the teacher in the classroom drawing on the chalkboard, and it's this creepy, smiling, just full hair. It's just this really creepy thing, monster. So Luna, that was one of Luna's original pages. That's one, I think that one was the one that I saw first that she already had done. So that got me hooked on this vibe. And I'm like, ooh, I like this. And then I basically said, this monster I hate the most. Out of all the ones we've created, I hate this one the most, in a good way. And so I said, this is going to be our. I kind of wanted to, because they're all disjointed and not really connected anyway. I want them to stand on their own. You know what I mean? I want each page to be its own unique story, and which they all are. As a writer, I did feel the need to put some form of through line in the book that really pays off, not necessarily within the stories, but you, the reader, are experiencing a through line. And I wanted it to be a little personal and almost like, fourth wall breaking, that kind of thing. And that's why I chose her. I just felt, or it, I just felt that had the best way to be able to incorporate that throughout, sprinkle it in through each story, and then have a pretty cool or creepy, unsettling payoff on the last page. Issue 2 or volume 2 is going to be no different. We have a main monster that I hate. So expect a similar vibe.
When coming up kind of with, like, I guess maybe what you would call like an A plot with the main monster and then the B plot with the other one sprinkled in, are we going to see any of these stories kind of follow any sort of plot, or is it all just going to kind of be like a different story for each page?
So far, the plan is different story for each page, only because I'm not really restricting or confining Luna with the different stories that she's been coming up with on her own, and basically like saying, hey, these need to be connected in some way, nor have I done that to myself. It's been it's honestly more of just a challenge. I would have a much easier time creating a full book with a connected story rather than a single page horror story with a punchline at the end of a single page that you could very easily just look down at and ruin for yourself, so it just doesn't have the flow that it needs to. It's such a challenge. So that's what we're challenging ourselves. That said, I do have some thoughts on that, especially since as we go through volume 3, 4, 5, we have plans for a handful of volumes that I'd love to play around with that idea.
We have our good friend DRhino419 over on YouTube joining us. Hello, everyone. Thank you for stopping in. Hope you're having a fantastic night. For anyone that is just joining right at the beginning of this, right here is a link to the Kickstarter. Be sure to check that out. And if you're able to back, we'd love to see it. Putting that anywhere you can is also awesome. Word of mouth is 100% free, costs you nothing. Share that link if you can. We would really appreciate it. So with Volume 2, brand new stories, brand new bad guy. Give us a little bit about him. He looks dashing. You know, I see a button-up suit. What's going to kind of be, I guess, his gimmick?
So Volume 1 was primarily based on Brazilian lore. It was kind of me really feeding off of a lot of Luna. Luna's a Brazilian artist. I believe she's only like a 21 or 22. She's very young, very talented, and very twisted in the best way. And so we really leaned on that. Like a lot of her creepy stories were inspired by just stuff in Brazil. Volume 2, there's a little bit of that still because I wanted to let Luna shine on a handful of her ideas that she had. Mm-hmm. But I requested that this one be based around the sleep paralysis demon, if anyone is familiar with that jerk. So that's who you are looking at. That's the cover, the main cover, and kind of going to be the through line throughout this volume, similar to the long-haired lady in the first one.
It just gets creepier and creepier. Maybe eventually we'll get the Benadryl Man.
Yeah. I mean, well, the Benadryl Man, that's basically the sleep paralysis demon, I believe. That's just a different concept for it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how familiar you are with the sleep paralysis demon or that specific term, but it's the worst thing ever. I would love to. I could share with you a personal experience with it. That's why I chose it for this volume.
Ooh, you know, I think you're probably gonna have to give us a little bit on that. You know, you can't just like drop that interesting lore and then be like, hey, by the way, like.
No, it sucks. So the sleep paralysis demon is just kind of like it's almost like a Slender Man-esque figure. That's typically the way people picture it. It's just a very slender, tall man with a hat. Typically, you don't see any facial features other than a smile. That's kind of like the main thing you see. Mm-hmm. So the main issue with the sleep paralysis demon is a typical nightmare with him involved is waking up, or at least feeling like you're awake. You can't move.
Ooh, yeah.
You can't scream. You can't do anything. You are quite literally paralyzed. You can look around though. You can see everything in the room going around and in front of you. So he typically opens the door, slowly walks in, and then what he does is he will lean over you as you sleep, as you're wide awake, not being able to move. And what happens is all you can see is his creepy demonic face with a smile. You can feel him breathing on you. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, and this is not an exaggeration, it feels like an eternity. And that's all it is. He just looks at you. And it lasts for hours, and hours, and hours. You can't move, you can't scream. It quite literally just feels like torture. And that's the issue that I have with that. The main issue is I ended up looking into it later in life because I've never forgotten that. I had a stint of about a month where my mom almost took me to like a therapist because she didn't understand. I couldn't sleep, but it was a month of every night being visited by the sleep paralysis demon.
That would be miserable. Jesus.
Yeah. That's basically him right there, by the way.
Yeah, Benadryl Man. Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's the sleep paralysis demon. There's a common, vernacular for him in a bunch of different ways. So that's basically him. I did a little bit of a deep dive when I got older, and it turns out that the sleep paralysis demon crosses cultures, mm-hmm. timelines, everything, language barriers. Like there are people who experience him in China, in Africa, in Brazil. Like Luna was very familiar with this concept. Japan, America, obviously. And
there's that reminds me. There's this one instance of something like where this guy's face did the same thing. It's like this guy's face like transcended like all these cultural barriers, and like people around the world have like seen this one particular dude's face in their dreams.
I remember that.
and it's crazy to think about because it's like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
How do you explain that on like a scientific level?
I don't think there is. I talked to some guy who I feel is very intelligent, and he basically ended the conversation with like, it's just chemical hormones when you're going through a certain time of life and you're just kind of, it's seeing things.
Like we're all just going through it. Like, damn.
I was like, well, then how am I going through it and they're going through it and we're all going through it, and not just me now in 20. Well, whenever I was 10 when it happened. Not just me then, but a dude back in like Genghis Khan time. It was like, what are we talking about? How is this a thing that has always been happening? I was like, I don't like that. And he didn't really have an answer for that. He was just like, yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I like did research into it because I was very curious, and it goes insanely far back. And they say that it typically affects the firstborn male around puberty.
That's so crazy.
And the fact that they have all these like data points makes it even more not fun. Like not something I just thought it was just a crazy little creepy moment I had. But then the other weird thing is, how sometimes you have a really bad nightmare.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll think for some stupid reason, your brain will go like, remember that really creepy thing that you thought of a while ago? Let's want to revisit it. Let's do it again tonight. And you're like, please don't. But then you do, and you have the nightmare again. I've had that reoccurring nightmares. This isn't a thing. It's quite literally a moment in time where you are visited by a demon, and then he never comes back. That's been the research I've done. And I've tried. I've literally been like, man, that's so creepy. Even doing this book, I have to come up with like the stories that involve him. I've never seen him since I was 10, but I'll never forget him. It's a really not fun thing.
Damn, dude, you're just like you're egging him on at this point. He's like watching this interview, like, all right, Chris.
I would love for him to come back.
Chris, like,
yeah, I'd love for him to come back around. It would like prove my theory wrong, that it's not only in my head, but it was just I was 10 years old for a month. I haven't seen him since.
We have our good friend John over on Twitch throwing up some horns and hearts in chat. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a fantastic night as well. Here's a good look at some of the interiors, and this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, I wouldn't call this a simple design by any means, very detailed.
No.
But compared to this, it's like two different worlds, and I love how the artist balances both types of artwork.
Yeah, yeah. There's like an innocence in the artwork, while also, like you said, balancing this weird tightrope of some grotesque monster just hanging out and tucking you in at night. It's very interesting how she does it.
Right here's another perfect example, like how we don't see very much detail in this, like some shading right there, some basic outlining, and then you see this thing right here, and it's so detailed. So much is packed in such a little space. Yeah, and I just love the contrast between like styles. Yeah,
it's really cool. I truly call this book or this series like an experimental series. Like I haven't really seen many things like it. So far, it's one of our top sellers at Comic-Cons and everything like that. So I'm pretty proud of how it's turning out, but it's unique for sure.
And this one, kids always drawing the most insane pictures. You go to look at them and you're like, okay, like.
Okay.
Do we need to talk more? Like, do we need to throw the ball outside a little bit harder? Like,
I think we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and I love how it's like based upon something that is like, you've seen it in some way, shape, or form, regardless of what it's called. Not everyone is crazy like me and refers to it as the Benadryl Man. Chris is like, we need to keep this PG. We need to keep this PG-13.
No.
Yeah, but the guy with the eyes, that is something I'm sure you remember at some point in life in your childhood. If you didn't experience it, I'm sure a friend has talked about it. Now this cover, like the pinstripe, the creepy hand. How did you guys come up with this cover?
I just had the idea. I would love to say some eloquent, like deep-seated thing that I thought of, but no, I really liked the way Volume 1's cover turned out, with like the hair monster being the main focus, and then you see a glimpse of her in the front cover So I wanted this to also follow suit, pun intended, I guess, where we allow the main monster to shine while also keeping him, mysterious.
So when we see the title pages, how's that going to look? Is that going to be just focused on his suit, or because before you were playing around with the hair, and
yeah,
that was interesting. How are you guys going to do
this?
I'm not
going to tell you. How about that?
All right.
I was considering it, but no. But it is going to be very similar. Like, that's just the vibe of the story. So there's going to be title pages with some, fourth wall breaking going on. But yeah, you'll have to find out.
All right. So we have digital copies coming hot off the press for $4. Catch-up bundle digital, volume 1 and 2 at $7. Awesome price on that, by the way. $10 for a physical copy of this. And you can get a catch-up bundle for $17. And then a Your Monster bundle at $100. So what's the Your Monster bundle going to include?
So the Your Monster bundle is you get all of the campaign-related add-ons, which you'll look right here. You got the sticker pack. You got, scroll down the cover poster. You got a foil cover upgrade for issue 2, excuse me. And then a really cool patch for like jean jackets and stuff like that. An iron-on patch, one of the monsters in the book. So it comes with all those, but then also we did this for volume 1. You can work with myself and Luna to create a single page horror story for volume 3.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that is cool.
So we did it for volume 1. We had 2 people back it, unfortunately. And hey, if for some reason you're watching this but not checking your email, please email us. But one person just hasn't responded. The other person has, and we are wrapping up their story now. It's pretty cool. I like it. But we only have 4 left, I think, because we don't really want to, saturate the book with that. But we have 5 total reserved. It's a limited type tier, and we have 4 left because one person already got it.
That is awesome. And once again, guys, here is the link to check out yourself. If you're able to back, we would love to see that. Put this foot wherever you can. Word of mouth helps just as much. So, Chris, for anyone who is on the fence about backing, and if you had a moment to kind of help push them over that hump, what would you like to say to them to help get them to back your project?
This might sound too egotistical, but I'm going to say it this way. I don't find horror comics very scary. I feel like horror is a difficult thing to do with comics. You can get creeped out a bit and grotesque and gore. Nothing really scares me when it comes to a horror comic. That said, my whole goal with this series was to really test that theory. So I do think by the time you're done with it, you're not, you're going to feel very unsettled. And that's the type of horror feeling that you can get from a movie, but I feel is a little difficult with comics. So I'm challenging myself to do that, and I think you're going to do that. You're going to experience some chills.
And what better time than right now to check this out, right? I mean,
yeah. Also, like Volume 1, it will be complete on Halloween. That's been our goal with every volume, and will continue to be our goal with every volume. But the campaign ends at 5 p.m. on Halloween, and our goal is by like 6 or 7 p.m. that you will see the digital version in your inbox on Halloween. That's
so awesome.
So you can experience it, optimal spookiness. That was my goal.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better campaign. That is awesome. Chris, you've been on the show before. You know the drill. We always love asking what creators have for a piece of advice for anyone starting out and what you're up to outside of creating. So for the creator out there looking to push their boundaries, looking to try something new, maybe it's trying a comic without words or trying to just stretch a creative idea that they weren't able to maybe execute previously, what would be your biggest piece of advice to help aid them in their way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, as a writer, just because that's who I am, I can't really talk too much on the artist side, even though I do consult with artists a lot, and I do feel like I'm getting better at that, being able to help artists grow. But as a writer, like one of the things that I think challenged me the most was writing a silent comic. So that's not. I've never like advised people do that because it's very challenging. That said, maybe the one thing that I do enjoy about it the most is it really helps me focus on action. You know, you can't have a whole page of disposition. You can't have a whole page of backstory being discussed over coffee. It's not a thing. Obviously, you have to pick the setting, and the type of story needs to be suited well for a silent comic. But if you're a writer, I highly recommend you challenge yourself. If you're feeling comfortable with your writing, try something new, something that's going to be challenging, something you're going to hate. Do it again, do it again, do it again until you're comfortable. But I do like the idea of recommending trying a silent comic. I think it'll help benefit you in page composition when it comes specifically from comics. When you're trying to figure out how a page needs to be composited in a way that flows really well, that isn't leaning on words. And maybe that's how I've benefited from it. I think I've benefited in a way to where now my page layouts are a little more action oriented. They don't need to rely on words. The words are really just helping the story move along, and then the pages really shine, which is nice with comics. You know, it's a visual medium. But yeah, if you have never done it, try it. I feel like it'll be a big challenge. You know, it'll only make you better.
I mean, and you got nothing to lose, right? I mean, take a few minutes out of your day, just try to script something out. You know, practice helps. You know, so put that work in, stretch your boundaries. You know, the more you work, the more you try, the more you grow. So awesome advice there, Chris. Last but not least, what have you been up to? What are you watching? What are you playing? What are you reading?
Okay, so what I'm up to is a lot of work, and I'm talking about comic work, thankfully. We have a Comic-Con. Our second annual Con at the Arcade is coming November 1st, which is only 2 weeks away, and I'm pretty prepared. But that's a fun adventure that I've embarked on. But yeah, that's coming up soon. It's at Dave & Buster's in Fort Myers. If anyone's local, feel free to swing by November 1st. It'll be fun. And then I'm just working on right now. I've been writing, but I've been doing a lot more publishing. So I'm working with a lot of different artists and writers and helping them publish their books and bring them under Bentbox. So we have a handful of stuff coming on Kickstarter. Please go maybe sign up for those and follow them along. One is Orium #2. That's in pre-launch. And the other one is Monstral #1. That's in pre-launch. But go check them out. Those are going to be from Bentbox, and they're going to be ones that I've kind of like, you know, helped work with. And then outside of that, the fun stuff, Battlefield 6 has been a lot of fun. And then I've been just trying to watch horror movies here and there. I've been trying to watch ones I haven't seen before, and I've watched one that I loved. Smile 2 I loved.
Such a crazy concept, I think, right? Like, you got to brutally murder yourself in front of people and traumatize them. Yeah.
And I think I posted about it on Twitter. I was like, I think the premise is just right up my alley. So even if it's not very well executed, I'm still going to enjoy it because of just the premise. That's kind of what I posted on there. I was like, so I might be like favoriting it more than it deserves. But Smile 2 was creepy, man. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked it more than Smile 1.
The monster is pretty insane too.
Yeah. Except for it kind of looks like a Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you know, I can see that. Yeah.
Other than that, it is creepy. But that one I loved. I really did this spooky season. I hadn't watched it yet. The one I hated was Presence. I don't know if you've seen that. It's I guess it's like a B indie movie kind of deal. It's on Hulu. Holy crap, I got to the end of that and I'm like, I'll never get that time back. I was so upset. I was like, I planned to watch this. I was like, man, I'm upset about that. And then the other one I really loved, and this is just movie talk around horror spooky season, was The Watchers. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's with Dakota Fanning. It's I think M. Night Shyamalan's daughter did it.
That's interesting.
That's who did it. I mean, M. Night was a producer, and I'm pretty sure his daughter was the one who wrote it and directed it. I loved it. It's kind of like it went unheard of. I don't think it got much press. It kind of bombed. I loved it.
Dakota
really
Fanning
cool.
has been around for an obscene amount of time too. I mean, I remember hearing that name. What, Charlotte's Web? I don't know. It's like I remember movies from when I was a kid that she was like starring in.
Dakota Fanning, when I was a child, was an actress, and the fact, and she's coming out with this, and it's the writing isn't great. I will preface that don't go into it expecting some really good writing. It fell flat a couple times, but the premise was awesome, and the way it was executed was really well done. So, yeah, The Watchers, give it a watch.
That is awesome. Well, Chris, thank you once again for coming over and just chatting about our Monsters Volume 2, giving me the opportunity to read Volume 1. And everything in between. Everyone watching, I hope you guys have all been having a fantastic Tuesday. The link's right there in chat and in the description. Be sure to check it out and back if you're able to. With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. So have a fantastic night, guys. But most importantly, keep it geekly.